I'm Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert. I am so excited to have you here. I am so excited to be able to bring leaders living their values to stage. It is the funnest part of my day where I get to talk to some super amazingly cool people about them, not who they, not the public persona, but who they really are and how they show up in the world. I am so excited to have had the opportunity to meet Tyler Williams and have him join me in the show. Tyler, great to have you here.
Mitchell, it's a pleasure and an honor to share time with you.
Thank you. The honor is mine, but I appreciate that. And so for the audience, who are you?
Well, I'm a former country music artist, race car driver, and to put it simply, I've leveraged my relationship with fear to help clients and audiences create their own breakthrough.
Okay. So I don't think you often hear country music artist and driver in the same conversation. Which came first?
Music came first, just singing as a kid, making noises and sounds, and race car driving came later in high school. And then it wasn't until my late 20s that I began to pair them together and took inspiration from the late Marty Robbins, who was a country music singer and race car driver. And I thought, man, nobody's done that since him at the highest levels. What if I could do that? And so I went on a journey to try to make that happen. And by definition, I did the thing. I was a country music singing race car driver. I didn't hit the levels that I'd hoped to. Kyle Petty also dabbled in country music as well and as a singer-songwriter, but with the schedule of the Cup Series back in the day, he didn't have the bandwidth to make a run at both full-time. But it was a dream to chase, to live, and to experience, and it was quite the journey.
So tell me about the rest of you. Who are you on a day-to-day basis?
On a day-to-day basis, I've always loved going deep with people, connecting one-to-one, small groups, and seeing other people, calling out the greatness within, seeing their beliefs, their ideas, and calling that forth in a way that really illuminates things that maybe even they have missed over the course of their life. And so sparking the flame inside to help people go shine brighter in the world has always been something I've done since, the earliest I can remember is probably in high school. I'd start to feel that with especially older people would pick up on that. And then as the work I've done silently behind the scenes of music and racing for over a decade is helping leaders bring their stories to life through helping them remembering their power.
Do you have a country western song that sort of deals with that piece, bringing out people's inner light? You must have a couple of those.
Some of the early music that I wrote was in that world because I wrote a book called I Have a Voice about my journey to rediscovering my voice as a singer. But really it was about my voice in the world, how I showed up and how I wasn't sharing my voice for so much of my life. And through that process, wrote a few songs called Believe Again. Just the idea of you have to believe in yourself to get out there and keep showing up, because at every level of the game, whether you're in high school, college, trying to figure out your life, whether you're 35 mid-career or you're closing out your career, you're going to face moments where you doubt yourself and you have those questions. Do I have what it takes? Can I do this? Is this the thing? Is this the path? And so I have a few songs out there that are all about chasing dreams and waking yourself up to live a life maybe not necessarily bigger than what you think is possible, but really to call forth that inner desire that maybe somebody else put a word in your head as a kid that you couldn't do the thing or you shouldn't do the thing.
Huh. That's interesting. Made me think about, so I have two questions. You could decide which one to start with. Your top 3 core values, what you just said is really powerful. And that is what word did somebody put in your head that made you not believe?
The word, I'll answer both of those. The word for me was really an internal word for myself. And I'd had a performance in middle school, had performed at the Fox Theater Atlanta, 4,000 people, had done some big shows, and then just at a house party with some friends. We didn't practice. We showed up, and I forgot the lyrics to the first song. And in a moment of panic and embarrassment, trying to impress the girls I was crushing on and my buddies, I just walked off the stage not knowing what to do in that moment. Because if I didn't know the song for the first one, I didn't know the second or the third after that. I was too wrapped up in the failure. So I walked off stage and stood in the doorway watching my buddies keep playing. And I just thought to myself, I'll never do that again. And just this little internal vow. So it was my own internal voice saying, I don't want to experience that pain or frustration again. I've looked stupid. I was an idiot. I messed up. And nobody said anything to me. Nobody made fun of me.
Mm.
It was my own voice that locked into this message that I won't do this because I don't want to experience that failure again. And for 10 years, I never performed in public.
Wow. Wow.
I was terrified to speak up and stand in front of a stage or stand in front of the class to give a speech. If you had to do your 3-minute speeches in high school and college, I hated it. Knees would shake, heart would race, total anxiety moments. And no one put that in my mind except for myself. And I know for listeners out there, there's a lot of them who've done the same thing. You may have had an adult, a coach, a parent say something, but oftentimes it's our own voice that really solidifies the thing that we're struggling with.
Yeah, I did that. I had my second TEDx. Everyone decided that they wanted to practice without slides the night before. And I'm a visual person. So no slides, no cues. I got lost. I mean, I knew this back and forth. I could do it in my sleep, but in front of a crowd, I'm like, I don't want to do that again. And so the thing is, it's so you got so nervous. Anyhow, it was very interesting. I can absolutely relate to that. Okay, so what are your 3 core values?
Can I give you 5?
Please.
I try to live by these. I don't hit them every single day, but the words that come to mind would be honor, freedom, fun, gratitude, and expression. I want to honor myself and others in front of me. I want to be free to experience life, free from the worry, the shame, the guilt, the frustrations as much as possible. I want to have fun. So I want to experience more joy in life. I want to experience and show up with gratitude, being grateful for everything that's in front of me, opportunities, even the highs and the lows. I used to try to block out the negative stuff or the things that I thought were negative. And I realized if I want more joy, I kind of have to experience more grief and sadness too. And then expression. I, for so much of my life, suppressed how I showed up in the world because I didn't think other people wanted what I had to bring to the table, or that they would make fun of the thing that I was trying to say or do. And so I want to be fully expressed so that you get the best version of me, because I know when I show up the best version of me, it reflects back to you that you can do the same. And we need more people that are fully expressed to bring more light to the world. And I don't hit those every day, but I try.
I'm looking at these and I love there's so many of them that I love. By the way, I'm playing around trying to find the acronym. But honor, freedom, fun, gratitude, and expression. Yeah, that's such a great view of life. How'd you find those? Like, what did? Obviously, you came up with them off the top of your head. You must have been. What deep process made you pull those out?
I've always been a driven and ambitious person. You don't try to go be a country music singer, race car driver without having some level of ambition to think I could be a Cup Series driver or a Truck Series driver, be on country radio. So I've always had this drive and ambition. And so early 20s, a lot of those core values would have been more towards success and external factors. And just the personal growth and development I've done over the years, the work I've done with high-level leaders, you see those who achieve the success and live by the drive and ambition and always creating something that's a little bit external in terms of the success, the recognition, the finances, the story they create, right? And I've realized that those often aren't the things that drive satisfaction and fulfillment and meaning. And as I dove deeper into my values over the last decade, the 5 that I gave you really are the ones that stand out as if I could bring that into my life with some level of intention every day, the way that I feel about myself and the way that I then show up in the world shows up at a way that just, it resonates deeper in my soul. And that reflection back to the world, like as we're talking here, you're like, I sense that from him. Like I can tell he's an ambitious guy because of the things he's done, but there's a sense of something greater than that. And it's really tied to those values. I can see he likes to have fun. I can see it, since there's this, he doesn't like to be held down. He likes to be free. He's a little bit eccentric, maybe he's a little bit free spirited because he likes to roam around and try out different things in life. And it's really this idea of, I went on a journey of exploration and a willingness to explore. And I think so many people sometimes stop at that phase of, I don't want to do the exploration because it's going to stir up some stuff that I haven't looked at or thought about. And so I gave myself the freedom to pursue life and discovery in a way that goes, I'm going to find out some other stuff I don't like about myself potentially, or want to change or shift, but I also find out this other stuff that I really like.
A little bit more about your personal life.
Personal life. I currently live in Nashville. I'm from Atlanta originally, and I've been up here 5 years. I will be moving to Charlotte in a few weeks here. And so I'll be moving a little bit further east, still staying in the South. Single, never married, no kids, would like to be married and have kids. All my family's still in Atlanta primarily. And so it's a good excuse to go back home and visit. And so I just love to chase my dreams, whether that's music, racing, which I've done. I also love to coach and to stir up and provoke people a little bit to illuminate some of their greatness. And I don't view so much, people go, what are your hobbies? What do you love to do? It's like, I love to read and I love to create, but music and racing, they're just a part of my life. So I'm going to move closer to the racing industry in Charlotte. You're going to find me at a bunch of racetracks, hanging out, connecting, and just having fun. Spending time with people that love the things I love, going to concerts, talking to other musicians, connecting with creatives. And so I don't find much separation between work and fun because I've made it a fun life.
By the way, that's exactly the answer I wanted. Thank you. What's about you, right? I needed to see you, right? And it's so many times people think that there's this separation between work and play, and that you have to pretend to be somebody else at work, not bring out your honest, your integrity, that person you need to pretend to be what other people, that fake it till you make it. That's all silly stuff, right? So you, unlike many people I spoke with, also had some dreams of music and race car driving, and you executed on them, right? And you brought it to the stage where you felt comfortable for yourself, and now have moved on to what's next for you, and including moving, changing your physical location. And by the way, just for the audience, I'm going to miss you by like a week. Like, you're leaving Nashville, I'm going to visit Nashville like a week later. Like bummer. So the interesting part is you're now focused in terms of bringing out the best of others. You're focused on this construct of fear. And you gave us a good example earlier about a place where you had fear. I could imagine performing as a musician, driving as a race car driver. There are many opportunities where fear can grip. What was give me an example of the most painful fear thing besides the one you already gave on either of those, music or race car driving?
So you already had the one where the failed performance in middle school. The next would have been performing a national anthem in front of 10,000 people. And it was a successful performance, but leading up to it, you have that anxiety loop. The anxiousness comes into play, and you're wondering, do I have what it takes? Can I do this? I've sang the national anthem since I was 5 years old, never forgotten the lyrics. But in my head, in those moments before, it's always going in this loop. Do you know the lyrics? What are they? Replay them. And I found myself realizing that the more I thought about it, the more I psyched myself out. And so you learn tools and habits of how to calm the mind, center yourself, ground yourself to do the thing you've always done because you know how to do it. You just lose groundedness in that moment. And so that's a moment. flipping a race car almost out of a racetrack and then coming back the next week to get in the same car that's been rebuilt, knowing that that just happened, but you got to get in and show up and do it another time and not let that fear overcome you. Relationship fears, even outside of the music and racing, having a 5-year relationship end and wondering, am I going to find the next relationship? How do you move on? How do you connect to yourself so you can go live and find that next relationship? And so there's a full spectrum of, I say I've leveraged my relationship with fear because it is a relationship. I remember growing up, there was fear or brands like No Fear, and you'd hear people say you got to become fearless. And I've found that the more I embrace fear, connect with fear, the greater my life experience is, rather than disassociate, disconnect, numb, and say it's a bad thing. It's like, no, the more I bring fear to the surface, the greater my opportunity is to navigate it in a meaningful way, creating power rather than suppressing and missing out on the opportunity to really grow and activate my expression in the world.
I kind of think if you don't fear, I mean, what's nice about fear is it shows you're alive. It shows that you care. A lot of people, when I've been on thousands of stages, and a lot of times for people, when they book me last minute, they're like, Mitchell, we need to change your topic. You can focus on this. Do you got it? I'm like, okay. Just what's the end goal? Okay, I'll walk my way into it. Let's not use our slides because they don't work, right? And I don't think in my mind I'm coming across calm, cool, and collect. And I don't feel like I'm afraid or concerned. That said, my armpits tell me otherwise. Right? Because by definition, the body is, even if the mind has good control, the body says, dude, you're nervous. You should stay focused. And I find using that, I don't know if it's fear, or if it's just excitement, or maybe a little bit of nervousness. Sometimes maybe there's a disconnect between the definition of fear and nervousness. Have you ever given that some thought?
The internal body systems that are functioning, the relationship between nervousness and fear, it's so similar that it can be missed. People say, oh, they're very distinct, they're separate, but in reality, it's really the same systems in the body functioning. And so if we begin to focus on the negative, and then we begin to focus on the fear, and we place it in this conversation, this story about what's happening, it leads us down this path to worry about all of the potential outcomes that wouldn't work or things that aren't going to go right. Whereas what you said, the nervousness, excitement of, I've done this before thousands of times. Things could go wrong, but I'm prepared. I'm ready. I can do this. And you tap into it and recognize that, oh, I'm just excited. This is fun. There's good things that are going to come from this opportunity. It's just the conversation, the story. And that's at a surface level, right? And then we get into, for me as a performer, I realized my anxiety was really in my body. And so I had to learn techniques, even just shaking the body out, giving a little, letting the arms dangle. And it looks a little bit silly behind when you're backstage and you see somebody kind of wiggling around, or, if you've seen a Tony Robbins video, you've seen him jumping up and down on his rebound or doing that little trampoline work. You're priming the body to release any of that trapped energy that might be stored, and even doing some quick breath work and getting some deep breaths in and out to just move the energy within the body, to get out of the mind, let the body release some of that tension. And everything, it's fear formula. When I talk about my brand and the work I do, people go, what's the formula? And it's not so much a question of what's the formula, it's what's your formula. Because your formula is different than my formula. Because the level and variety of fear that you experience is different than mine. And they may be cousins, they may be related, but they show up differently for you than for me. And so when I do work with my clients one-to-one or in group settings, it's really about highlighting the individual fears that each person is experiencing. And then how do we need to help them navigate their relationship with fear? Maybe it's more connected to some attachment theory. Maybe it's connected to just simply some stories and some limiting beliefs. But we're finding out what's working within the individual at any given moment so that they can maximize their personal formula. And just like you had some techniques for your, in that spur of the moment, hey, we have this new opening. Can you go deliver and kill a keynote? And you say, yeah. It's because you're trusting yourself and you've done enough work to know What do you need? What does Mitchell need to go perform and knock this out of the park for the audience, for that client?
Interesting. So I love what you said. All right. I love the focus on at the end of the day, because so many people have, all right, their formula, their approach. Um, so and it's very individualistic, is what you said. Are there how many different techniques are there for people to part of what I'm hearing you say, which I love, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say this, is converting fear to nervousness. Because and treating nervousness as good. Did I hear that right? Or was that my make believe stuff?
It's, again, that could be part of your formula, right? And that's the
Mm,
beauty of it. And so it's being able to take this experience, understanding what is the fear. Is it more mental? Does it actually feel like it's sitting in the body? Where do we need to release the tension? If it's mental anxiety, we have some techniques to calm the mind, maybe some meditation, maybe some breath work. If it's within the body, maybe we're actually going to put some have you place your hand on that specific spot. If it's your gut, if it's your heart, if it's in your throat, do some breathing attached to helping release the stored tension in those places. And maybe just some, like I said, shaking the body out, doing a really quick movement to kind of express that energy, and maybe talking it out with someone way before the event actually happens, so you have a greater understanding and awareness. But it is the ability potentially to transform the story from one of fear to, okay, maybe I'm just nervous. And what if being nervous is okay? I don't need to fight the nervousness. I don't even need to fight the fear, because we're going to come out the other side with an experience. And either way it goes, we get to celebrate what that experience was, because no matter what, I'm learning, I'm growing. And if I'm just expressing myself, what if I mess up? What if I fail? Is it the end of the world? Do we get to write the story, create a new conversation? So there's all kinds of tools, techniques. It's, people talk about, we have mental health problems today. We have a body health problem. And the mind is included in the body. And so when we connect the mind and the body and then learn how to express ourselves out in the world, we just create new conversations to really illuminate it, what we're doing, saying, experiencing, and other people get to decide how they want to receive that. Some people will be for you, some people won't. And you just get to show up and be you.
Is there a specific, or is there you said it's all individual solutions, but is there a cluster? Like, is there the top 5 things or top 3 things, that techniques that people should be deploying if they're sitting with fear? And how do you feel that when you're talking with a prospect, with a client?
If I was just going to throw out some recommendations, if you're saying, hey, like I'm not going to go on this journey with you for 6 months and go do super deep work, it's getting aware with yourself. So it's not about the external work. Everybody's looking for the external solution. Where can I go to find this thing that's outside of me? And really the work I do is about helping you remember what's already inside of you, helping you remember your power and remembering who you are. Because that 3, 5, 6, 7-year-old kid, that's where the power comes from. But we've diminished that power through stories that we've been spoken over us, lies that we believed about ourselves, ways that we've shown up in the world. And so creating self-awareness, and a great way to do that is to slow the mind down, slow the body down. It could be through some mindfulness, could be through a meditation, guided meditations, breath work, getting in touch with what's happening inside of you, which so many people, we're on our phones all the time. We're running from meeting to meeting. We're professing how busy we always are. We're not leaving any time and space in a life just to be, to celebrate the art of being. And so when we slow down, create some space for ourselves, slow down the mental chatter, we let the mind rest, we let the amygdala calm down. And then once we begin to do some of that work, then we can invite in conversations. How do we grow more self-awareness? We start journaling. What are my thoughts? What are my feelings? Am I not sure what my feelings even are? So I'm going to write down things I'm thinking about. Well, over time, you realize I'm thinking about this, but there's some feelings that start to underlie these thoughts. And then we go, okay, well, I'm actually beginning to feel angry. In my 20s, I personally was like, I don't get angry. I'm not an angry person. And as I did more personal work, I realized, no, I do get angry. I just don't express it in a way that I see maybe in a movie where they're volatile and screaming at the top of their lungs, but I still get angry, and that's okay. And I have sadness and grief, and that's okay. So journaling, reflecting, and it could just be as simple as what did I feel today? What did I not like about today? What do I want more of today? Doing foundational work to find out, you asked me what my values were. How did I get to those? I did some inner work to discover, right? And so it sounds simple, but it's oftentimes the simple things that we know would work or could possibly work for us, we avoid. And for so many people, it's because we're just avoiding ourselves. And I'm still guilty of that today. I still find myself going, oh man, I'm avoiding myself today or this week. And I slow down and I breathe and I journal and I reflect and I go, oh, like there's space for me here too. And high level leaders especially have abandoned themselves for the greater good of the company, the employees, the next mission. And when we take time to bring that back inside and go, there's life within. And I see your ideas, your beliefs, your desires. Maybe I see the relationship that's hurting you. And we begin to slow down, we can create space to hold those conversations that they've been afraid to have. And realize that shame, the guilt, the frustrations, the anger, the sadness, whatever's going on within, we can transmute that into a story that helps them move their life forward in a way that stokes that fire. That spark comes back to life. You have these 7-figure earners, 6-figure earners, and they're burned out, they're tired, they're frustrated. And they're doing so much valuable work in the world, yet they're not feeling their optimal selves. They're not feeling vibrant. And that's a shame because they're in such a fortunate position in the world to do amazing things. So that's my work, is to help people find their fear formula, to illuminate that spark even brighter, and let them go out and shine. And ultimately, when you do that, to me, it's an expression of love. And we need more of that in the world.
Dude, I so love so many people stand up when they have an audience and say, I have the answer. Here's the formula. Versus, if you don't look inside to start, you can't start with me. I mean, it's absolutely perfect. Listen, how would people, if they want to reach out to you, what are some good ways? If this was interesting, they want to learn more, how best should they reach out?
TylerWilliamsLive.com is my website. If you want to learn more about speaking, coaching, just see what the world of music and racing. We have some videos. You can catch a little bit of the history of what I've done in the world. That's a great place just to connect and learn. If you want to go to Instagram, my connection there is T Williams Live. And you can shoot me a DM or a follow and just catch up and see what we're doing. And those are the best places to stay in touch and find out what's happening in the world, what I've got going on. And I respond to my DMs. And so if you want to chat, throw your fear in there, what's going on, and I'll shoot you a message back.
Love that. And so based on this conversation, is there a particular way, a question I should be asking you right now that would allow you to sort of summarize and wrap up everything that we talked about?
What are you still afraid of?
Oh, that's a great question. All right. So Tyler, thanks for loading the guns. What are you still afraid of?
I'm afraid of being seen.
Really?
As much as I've done in the world and as much as I show up with podcasts, with music, with racing, I still have places where I'm afraid for people to fully see my expression in the world. And I think it's important for people to know that, because they see somebody who's going, man, he's been on stages, he's spoken to big audiences, he's performed in front of 10,000 people, he's done all these things, he's flipped race cars and go back to do it again, he's stood in victory lane. Guy must be bold, he must be fearless. There are moments where I feel really bold and courageous, and there's moments where I don't. And there's moments where I show up and, I'm an introvert. I don't woo the room naturally. If it's my own room and I'm on the stage and I've got the mic, that's a different story. But when it's 70 people that I've never met before, I want to stay small. I want to shrink. And so there are places within me where I'm like, man, like, do these people really want to experience me? And it's not a
Mm.
fight. It's not a battle. It's just, it's an acknowledgement. It's an awareness that that's something within me, that I have a fear around people not wanting me. And if I can do the things that I've done at the level I've done them, and it's still okay for me to acknowledge that publicly. And again, to what you said about not having a specific formula, great if you do as a leader. Beautiful. I love people who have formulas to help people. But sometimes formulas aren't for everybody. And when you can acknowledge, hey, like I still struggle with things, it gives everyone a permission at every level. Because when you're at the bottom and you're looking at somebody who's way at the top so far away, you think it's unattainable, that life they're living, they still have problems too. That billionaire owner of your greatest sports franchise, they've got some problems. They might be a little different than yours, but really they still have shame, guilt, anger, sadness, or maybe they disassociate and disconnect and they deny that they have any experience of feelings, right? But we're all the same in the same boat of, you have some stuff going on, you have some fear in your life, and it holds so many of us back from living the most beautiful, vibrant, exciting life. And when we can create more freedom for people, it just sets the tone to just see people in a new way. So I'm afraid to be seen sometimes, because sometimes like, man, are they going to want this version of me? When I show up fully, are they going to think I'm too loud? Or are they going to think my story is stupid? Or any other combination of thoughts that run through my mind at any given time. And yet I still show up to embrace the fear, to embrace the story, and to love those parts of me. And when I can authentically reveal that to someone, they go, oh, really? You? I go, yeah. And they go, oh, me too. And maybe it's a different story for them, but the me too goes, it's okay to feel it.
Dude, thank you. I mean, you showed up so credibly today. You're not the person on the pedestal that has all the answers. You're the person who's going to listen and focus. You shared vulnerability. You shared your servant leadership, your intent and commitment to do the right thing. You shared so many elements of living, working, and being credible. And I really appreciate you spending time with us today. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the time, Mitchell. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with you and just share with your audience and get to have some fun.
Oh, well, thank you. I agree. And so I'm going to say, for those who are still here, and I'm still going to do a teeny pitch at the end, but those that are still here, it's time to spread Tyler's cred dust. So click on the like button, share with your friends. Make sure there's an aha moment here that grabs your attention, where you can actually go out and change somebody else's life just by sharing what Tyler said. And what I'm going to say is, we have what's called the Ultimate Credibility Bootcamp. We do this once a quarter, and it is a great way for you to show up as you. And you know what? I am going to talk a little bit about Tyler's non-formula of fear. And so we'll bring that in, and it's the opportunity for you to articulate who you are and how you show up in the world, and then come in day one and learn how to show up credibly. Come in day two and show up credibly when you're not in the room. Right. So in the first 20, 30 seconds, can you show up in the way that people really want to get to know you, to see you, to want to get involved with you, to be able to then spend time to learn more? That's what we do in the Ultimate Credibility Bootcamp. It is ultimatecredibilitybootcamp.com. Looking forward to seeing you there. Tyler, thanks again for showing up today. I loved it. You were amazing. You exceeded my expectations, which are always very high for people. And so thank you so much. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us today. See you at the next episode of Leaders Living Their Values. Take care. Bye now.